You're at the party, everyone's laughing, the music is good, and somehow, in the middle of all of it, you feel completely alone. Not sad, not angry, just separate. Like everyone else is in a room together, and you're watching them through a window. That feeling has a name. And it's not depression, it's not shyness, it's not even loneliness. Not the kind most people think of. It's something deeper than that. And if you've ever felt it, this video is going to explain something about yourself that you've never quite been able to put into words. Here's the thing most people get wrong about this feeling. They think, if I just had more friends, or got out more, or stopped being so antisocial, it would go away. So they show up, they go to the dinners, they answer the group chats, they laugh at the right moments, they perform a perfectly convincing version of themselves, and they go home feeling emptier than when they left. Because this isn't about quantity, it's not about how many people are in the room. It's about whether any of them actually know who's standing in front of them. Researchers now have a specific term for what's happening. And once you understand it, you can't unsee it. Let's get into the psychology. This is going to hit. Psychologist Dr. Elizabeth Pennell at the University of Vermont calls it existential isolation. It's not the same as being lonely because you have no one. It's the feeling of being alone in your experience of reality, even while other people are right there. It's the sense that nobody here sees the world the way I do. Nobody here would really understand if I said what I actually think. So I don't. And the room gets a little more distant. Pennell's research found something startling. Existential isolation predicts depression and anxiety independently of general loneliness. Meaning, you can have a packed social calendar, a full group chat, a reputation as the life of the party, and still carry this specific kind of alone. Not because something is wrong with your relationships, because something is hidden inside them. Here's what makes this worse. Most people who feel this way have gotten very, very good at not showing it. You smile, you keep it light, you give the version of yourself that's easiest for people to handle. You laugh on cue, you deflect when someone gets too close. Psychologists call this self-concealment. It's the active effort to keep the real parts of yourself hidden from the people around you. And here's the part that gets you. Research shows the problem isn't what you're hiding. It's the ongoing effort of maintaining the gap between who you actually are and who you're performing. The hiding itself is what exhausts you. The hiding itself is what makes the room feel like glass. You can love the people you're with and still feel like a stranger at the table. That's not them failing you. That's you protecting yourself in a way that also keeps you from being known. If this already sounds familiar, stay with me. The next part explains why it hurts so much. Let's talk about why this feeling is so heavy. Because some people will tell you, just put yourself out there. Stop overthinking. You're fine. But neuroscience says otherwise. UCLA researcher Naomi Eisenberger ran fMRI studies where participants were socially excluded while inside brain scanners. What she found changed how we understand loneliness. The same neural regions that process physical pain, the anterior insula, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, lit up when people felt socially disconnected. Being unseen is not metaphorically painful. Neurologically, it is actual pain. And here's what makes it worse than a physical injury. A 2015 study found that social pain can be relived, mentally re-experienced long after the moment is gone. Physical pain can't do that. The ache from feeling invisible at that dinner last week, you can still feel it right now. Your brain kept it. This is not sensitivity. This is biology. So what do most people try to do? They show up more. They book the plans. They say yes to everything. They convince themselves, if I just keep going out, eventually the loneliness will stop following me. But researchers Wren and Stavrova in 2023 followed over 3,000 people using real-time self-reporting throughout their days. Their finding was uncomfortable. Simply spending time with others is not associated with a reduced burden of loneliness. It can even backfire. You go to the thing, you talk to the people, you come home and feel worse. Because the issue was never the number of people. The issue is depth. It's whether the people you're with know you past the version you're performing. One conversation where you're actually real does more than 20 evenings of showing up as someone else. A national study of over 2,500 adults found that 15% of them were what researchers now call lonely in a crowd. Not isolated by any objective measure. They had people They had plans. They had relationships. They just didn't feel known inside any of them. And this group showed significantly more depression, more negative emotional outcomes than adults who were physically alone but didn't feel that inner disconnection. This is the counterintuitive truth about loneliness. Being physically alone is not the real risk. Feeling unseen is. Cornell researcher Anthony Ong tracked nearly 8,000 people for 13 years. The people who had rich social lives but felt this inner distance had worse heart outcomes, worse cognitive outcomes than people living in genuine solitude. Not because connection failed them, because they were present, but not truly there. Here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The loneliness you feel in a crowd is very often connected to the version of yourself you brought into it. Not all of it, but some of it. When you've spent years hiding the harder parts, the doubts, the fears, the questions you don't ask, the real opinion you swallowed, the people around you get used to a character. They like the character. They make plans with the character. They love the character. But the character is not you. And when only the character gets loved, some part of you still sits there going, but they don't know me. And it's right, they don't. Because you never let them. This isn't blame. Self-concealment usually starts as protection. Something early taught you that the real version was too much, or not enough. So you learned to present something cleaner, something easier, something safer. And now that's become the version that goes to every dinner. The version that answers, "I'm good." The version that fills up a room without ever filling up. Here's what actually moves this. Dr. Pinnell's own research points to something she calls I sharing. It's those moments when two people realize they're having the exact same inner experience at the exact same time. The stranger who laughs at the same thing you laugh at. The friend who says what you were thinking before you said it. The person who finishes your sentence correctly, not because they guessed, because they felt it too. Those moments cut through existential isolation faster than any amount of social exposure. You don't need a bigger social life. You need a few real moments where the actual version of you showed up and someone recognized it. That starts with small risks, not big vulnerability, just one real sentence instead of the polished version. Honestly, I've been struggling with something lately. I didn't enjoy that as much as I probably should have. I don't know if I actually belong here. That's it. One true sentence, and see who moves toward it. The people who do, those are your people. The ones who go quiet, that's information too. Stop measuring connection by how many people are around you. Start measuring it by how often you leave a conversation feeling like yourself, not like a performance that just ended. And if the thought of saying something real makes your stomach drop, that fear is worth examining with someone, a therapist, a trusted friend, someone who's earned the real version. Because here's the truth. You were never meant to be known by everyone, but you were meant to be known by someone. And keeping yourself fully hidden guarantees you never are. If you've ever sat in a full room and felt that quiet ache, that particular kind of alone, I hope this helped you understand what was happening. You weren't ungrateful. You weren't antisocial. You weren't broken. You were surrounded by people who knew your character but not your story. The loneliness was real, and it was telling you something important. Not that you need more people, that you need to let more of yourself actually show up. You're not too much. You've just been keeping yourself too small. If this one stayed with you, there's more psychology here that will too. See you in the next one.